Hey everybody! This is a follow-up to this video here. If you haven't seen it, maybe check it out, because previous spoiler and trigger warnings still apply. Toby Fox continues to be amazing at hiding a ton of interesting details in his games, so to the surprise of no one, I missed some pretty fun stuff in my last video. Here's my top 10 things you probably missed if you did the weird route and saw my previous video. That title is too long. Crap. Did you know you can actually skip this first puzzle too? It's not required for the weird route or anything, but it is reminiscent of it, since this is actually the first time you can tell Noelle to proceed, and thus force her to skip a puzzle. When Noelle holds down this switch for you, you can talk to her and she'll wonder why you're watching her, or say that she can feel you watching her if you try behind her. You can also see her fidget a bit right as you pass over the lightning before she reveals she was thinking of killing you. Hopping straight to the end, you can also walk towards Noelle by using the arrow keys during the cutscene at the hospital, which will net you some new dialogue.
Huh? Chris? How long have you been standing there? Stop. Don't come any closer.
Turns out there's another difference in the hospital too. One of the beads is broken off the toy in the lobby. The blue one. Turns out my many runs of walking back and forth in this doorway were in vain. You can't acquire an egg on a Snowgrave route. I guess you can't make fried chicken without losing a couple of eggs? Dang, I wanted to reverse steal some eggs. While we're clearing things up in the overworld. No, seriously, the bunker sounds the same. Look, I played and recorded both and synced up my crappy quality audio. Coders with coding magic looked into it. There's no alternate text for the garbage can. Before anyone asks, the dump sounds the same too. This next one's a little more understandable, because most people do pacifist runs, but the Queen does not have specific dialogue for the weird route. Her dialogue is based on who is recruited during your run. And you can spare in this run, as weird as that sounds. As you might imagine, any enemies frozen by Noelle will be impossible to recruit. Even if you recruit them before you meet Noelle, they'll be removed from the list when you attack them. But you can spare Task Manager, Wear Wire, and Mouse Wheel once Noelle has left the party. You can also recruit the Hacker. Swatch and Addison should still appear here too as well, trashy. But not Newbert. Poor Newbert. Man, the terminology is gonna get weird if people do that. I've heard people suggest we call the weird route Snow Mercy, like no mercy with snow, but honestly, that should be the word to describe a pacifist weird route, in which all non-mandatory enemies are recruited. Yet, think about it, no chocolate. Of course, we could reserve that name for a terminated weird route in which you acquire Snowgrave. I mentioned in the last video that Noelle has different animations once you acquire the freeze ring. Some of the subtler changes involve the idle sprite, which has smaller pupils in the weird route, implying a certain horror or perhaps detachment when faced with battle. What's really interesting though, is that when asked to attack an enemy with a melee attack in the normal route, Noelle will stiffen and get a terrified look. But in the weird route she'll actually switch to the idle sprite from the normal route, almost like she's relaxing now that she has orders to use melee. Her melee sprite also switches over to the sprite for when she casts a spell, including the particle effects. At first I thought Victory animation was adding the snow globe from the freeze ring, but on closer inspection I'm not so sure. The buildings here don't resemble any of the buildings in the cyber world, they actually look shockingly similar to the buildings from the castle town. Not sure what that's about. Further evidence is that these changes seems to be tied to your progression through the weird route plot, rather than the freeze ring itself or EXP she acquires. When you end the run, she reverts back to her previous animations, even when you cast Snowgrave. In fact, if we were to, say, hypothetically, change our room number, to keep casting it, or to freeze more enemies, she will still retain her original sprite animations. So it looks like resuming your killing spree won't drag you back into the run. This could have some pretty fascinating implications for the later chapters, and is definitely a point against dubbing this route the Snowgrave route. since the Snowgrave spell appears to independent of the run in the same way, say, the freeze ring is. Speaking of, Mystic Slime noticed that in a normal run, Spamton calls the KeyGen a commemorative ring as well. Given Spamton's suggestion that you buy two, this begs the question, does anything change if you do? Nope. Actually, now that I think about it, we killed that Addison earlier, when we got the freeze ring. Does that impact the speech the Addisons give us in the junkyard? Well, let's see. There are 6 Addisons in the junkyard, 2 blues, 3 yellows, and a pink one with a ponytail. The Addison that sold us the freeze ring was pink, with a ponytail, but how can we tell if this is the same one? Well, to figure out which Addison this one is, we need to ask, how many pink Addisons are there in this city? Backtracking from the castle, but before we finish Spamton, we can find this one here, who sells you the tea. This one up here who gives prizes, and of course, the one we took care of, with Noelle. Checking again, after we finish Spamton, we can see that the tea salesman is gone, while the prize vendor remains. So this Addison must be the tea salesman. Case closed. Geez, Spamton deserves his own video cause. That was a lot of unnecessary legwork. Kinda like trying to get past these Pipsies. I've seen a lot of complaining about how sensitive they are to set off, but you know what's actually weird? They aren't limited to Chris's hitbox like every other enemy in the game. They trigger if they make contact with any of the party members. That's so weird. I wish I could recruit these weirdos, but they don't respond to spares, or fight, or anything actually. They're good for money/HP though. Just defend with Chris and Susie, and then either defend with Ralsei to get Cromer, or use Healing Prayer for free health. While we're here, Spamton Neo does indeed respond to the infinite big shot glitch, as of the 1.6 patch, and as of 1.5, Toby fixed the color of the text when Noelle finishes him off. So, to everyone forming intricate theories around the color of the damage here, I'm sorry. I wish I could give you a consolation prize by saying that there's something new with the glass you get post-fight, but no. Same as ever. No exclusives in the Cliffside hold either, dang. Well, maybe this will suffice. Generic username was isolating voice clips when he noticed some weird lyrics in Spamton's Big Shot theme. Since then, Tumblr user and dream-inq dreams or dream-inq. Okay, Paul. Paul has been isolating the vocals of that part of the song. Take a listen. It's hard to make out. And of course, with the massive interest in Spamton's backstory, speculation leads to some pretty wild divergence in interpretation. People hear what they expect, yet. For the first line, most people agree he's begging someone, some hear Mike, some hear Knight, to answer the phone, followed by some laughter. The next few lines are fuzzy. Some hear all the suspense is making me wait, while others hear pull the strings and make them ring. Others still hear something like, I can't spend another minute alone. And finally, most people hear it end with tell me what they're really selling, although some still hear something more like don't you want to be a big shot. You might think it's crazy that all these people are hearing these completely different lyrics of the same song, but there's actually another, even more terrifying explanation here. While Paul was dissecting this, the Gamer Tour noticed that the audio seems to have something weird when you slow it down. It almost sounds like 2 lines are running simultaneously on different audio tracks. So Paul isolated just the left side of the audio and up. Okay, so he's definitely saying, they're coming for me, and maybe also pick up the phone, but your guess is as good as mine about that end. I hear the word employee in there. Yet, wow. I'll link to that one in the description, and if it looks like anyone else finds a lead in the future, I'll be sure to link it down there as well. Who knew there was so much dialogue hidden here? Next time you find yourself stuck in a Spamton fight, I hope this at least gives you something fun to listen for in the meantime.
And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hyperlink blocked. Here.